name for here that some people used was they were going down to the chain. But what it was a chain or a rope from one side of the river to the other. It was tethered to that rope, and the ferry was actually pulled across hand over hand, sideways to sideways. But of course the art of it would be to keep the bow of the ferry into the current, and that would help it to move across. So it was the power for the ferry, in fact, came from the power from the river. Much to the annoyance of Robert, it was possible when the tide was low, just about 20 yards further up the river, you could plodge across the river at that point instead of paying a penny. And he did not like, and I understand he used to shout and even possibly swear at these characters that had the audacity not to use his ferry and cross over on the ford. Not only did the Wheatleys have the ferry, but there were quite a few sea captains that in fact used to sail up the Wansbeck. This is Josiah Wheatley's father, who used to sail into the Wansbeck and was the captain of a grain ship. And one of the things that goes with this picture, I suppose, is his cocktail cabinet that he had on his ship. There would be 6 different spirits, or perhaps wines, in these bottles, and he obviously just entertained one person at a time here, as it only has the two glasses. But this is another piece that we'll eventually get round to getting restored. What we have got round to restoring was his barometer from his ship. This would be on a gimbal here, so that whatever the movement of the ship, it would remain upright. And it's a column of mercury, and it reads the current air pressure, and adjusted with ivory or a whalebone part here, and the temperature down here. The reservoir for the mercury is in here. His telescope was left in the house by me Auntie Nellie. Many's the sight that must have been seen with it. Yes.
Whatever I remember would come as lots of things, lots of good things. Traditions we had lots of things down here: sea coaling, peak killing, fishing, board breaking.
I remember the big ship scene, and the noise, the clanging, the banging, sparks flying, wagons coming in minute by minute, taking away big skips, big flat wagons coming in, taking away big iron bars and anything that could off the ships. It was non-stop.
I used to bike down here.
Did you?
I couldn't afford the bus fare.
Being a kid as well, I remember seeing you down here as well, Jeff. Bob Ramsey as well, and like I said, Geordie Lee, Checker Lee. I remember seeing you down here with them lads as well. And obviously when we used to come down here and do a bit of fishing and all that as well, watch you.
I tell you what, it was really good food, It's all good and all,
It is. All we've got those are memories. It's very apt that the name Battleship Wharf still exists today. Quite a good name, for ships and submarines coming in here and all that, and getting stripped down of their precious metals, like. And when you see today, a lot of places is getting renamed, and you see a place like this still retaining its name. It's very nice, like.
Way back then, 300 million years ago, this wasn't at all like it is now. It was flattish, it was very hot, it was near tropical climate, the land was very boggy, covered in vegetation, huge ferns and trees and things all over the place, lots of streams and rivers and swamps, and this vegetation was growing like mad because the climate was perfect. When plants died off, they fell to the ground, they fell underwater in the swamps, and didn't rot away completely, so you get all this stuff accumulating like a very thick peat bog. And then, now and again, the sea would come in, swamp it all over with sediment, while more forest and more swamps grew on top. So that way you had a whole series of coal seams in the end, stacked up on top of each other.
In the sides, the dike sides and all this, you know, there was ore lying here, which was natural, came from the outcrops. But we had other people that was involved here, especially with the Stevensons, like Michael Longridge. Now, Michael Longridge, he was very friendly with Thomas Mason, who was the owner of the Glebe Pit, which was later become the Barrington Colliery. And with Birkinshaw working here as well, he manufactured the first iron malleable iron rails. They were laid from the colliery and came here, and the coal was transported from Barrington down here for the works.
It's typical of furnace slag material that is coming out of the furnace molten, or at least very least soft, and then cooling very quickly and turning glassy as a result.
There were 6 actual coal seams here. We went from like the Beaumont, all ranging in different thicknesses as well. Like, but there was 6 coal faces actually, different seams, which will go for each of the turnover at the time. So they grow on top again and grow on top.
You'd find some coal seams were too thin to work.
Right, yes.
Some were too dirty to be useful. Not all of them would be mineable, would they?
That's right.
I mean, anyone that's never been underground hasn't got any idea of what it's like under there. And for a miner, such as myself and every other man, it was just a daily job. Everybody says, I don't know how you can work down there in the dark, but it was just like someone gone painting the house. It was your job.
Well, like every other village, pit village, you know, everything's centred around the pit at Cambois.
Buggy City, 34 Buggy City, Cambois.
Yes.
Born and bred.
Yes. And you worked at the local colliery as well?
I was at Cambois Pit. I started there when I was 14, left school when I was 14.
Yes.
Started the pit. And I was on the screens force. I met with Jack Hamlin, my mother's brother. He was the boss on the screens.
Right.
You see? And I was on the screens, and then I went doing the pit, 15 and a half when I went doing the pit. See? And I was in one place, driving from the Loader, 5th North, and my father was coal cutting on that face. And I used to crawl up the face and see him like, you know, on the face, like, you know. I mean, we were in one place, it was knee high on that, on the face. And I was 9 bell on the bottom, you see. And the coal was getting thinner and thinner, that should height in the middle of the face. So you can walk, you see, get the cutter through.
Yes.
It was in the bottom plessy. And this was the last handful of flight of Cambois. And he was sitting here, no, my mother, he says, Alan, he says, I didn't like going up there, it was that low, you see. And we were lying actually on my backs, first in his shoulder. And we used to say, if you got on your shoulder the wrong way up, you wouldn't be able to turn it
around, that's right.
You know?
It's an old saying.
You know.
What was that horse one again? That I remember that
horseback.
The horseback.
The horseback.
That was a queer stone, wasn't it?
Yeah, you didn't even need goaters under that.
Aye.
You used to stand at sail. And you could go for about a mile with a horseback.
Aye, not a goat, not a stick of timber in, hadn't it up?
Well, I mean, if you tried to drill it, you could see why you'd stood there.
Aye.
Because it used to laugh at you if you tried to drill that.
It was dark, of course, but everybody had a lamp. In those days, we had carbine lamps. You used to have a cap lamp with carbine in, and you used to strike a light and light it. Then later on, quite a few years later on, it became an unsmoking pit. And when it became an unsmoking pit, you could no longer use carbine lamps. You had to use electric lamps.
I left school on the Friday at 3:30.
Aye.
Went home, my father told us to get west. I was up at the colliery manager's office at 4 o'clock and I started walking on Monday.
Aye, you do that.
That's the way it was.
Was that on Bank straight away, like
aye,
here, was it?
aye. I started walk on the screens.
Aye.
Yes. It's still happy memories, mate.
Oh, it is.
46-2. That was my mother's cheque number, aye. But it was lovely.
Then you had like a chemist on the end.
Aye, what a chemist on the end, yes. Aye.
And then you had the big door, big double gates, and the horses used to go through there with the carts in.
Aye, that's where I went in to collect the rubbish and that. Aye.
That's store horses and all. I was kept at this co-op.
Aye. Aye. That's
So,
the
so when you went
horses that
in,
pulled the
you had
carts.
like all the store was sort of this way. You went through big double doors, and you went around. There was like a loading platform, for fetching the groceries in. Aye. And on this side, all inside, was the stables.
I'm sure we can all remember the guy at the pit I used to call him Dosey, who was the man that did all the horse showing and looking after the pit ponies and the horses at the pit.
My father used to show all them, the whole lot. Me wouldn't. My dad burns the show flush.
What an awful smell, but
Lovely. Oh, that's when I come in the bank, that's how I get a place at the bar, no problem. I put 4 on the outside, 3 on the inside, and then I take them down. Stand to them. Right?
I would have bought some sugar lumps if I'd stopped that.
There was 2 bus stops, that one there, and there was another one just here. Because the buses were used a lot then.
Aye, because we had like 2 bus services then. We had a bus that ran from Bedlington to Ashington and back again, and we had a bus that left from here that went through Bedlington Station and that to Morpeth, so we could get the bus to Morpeth.
And yet you can't get a bus to Morpeth now.
The little copper come in one day, Bill Warnless. There'd been a shop gotten into Bedlington Station. And one of the youngers at Cambois had done it. I knew he had done it, like. And he come up the stairs and he never come in for his haircut anyway. He used to get my father's for his haircut. And he says there was a shop gotten into Bedlington Station last night. And he says a young'un from Cambois had been involved in it. He says, who is it? I says, he says, come on, he says, you know who it is, local barber, you know it gets on. I says, I know who it is, but I says, I can't afford to tell you. I says, if I tell you who it is, I says, I'm going to be out of business. People's not going to come back to my shop and say, oh, he's a bloody copper's knock, you know. He said, Warnless, he was nasty bloke, man. He said, well, I says, you can do what you like. I says, I'll tell you what, I said, when you get down the stairs, I says, when you open the door to get in, I says, shut the bugger when you get out, as them come back.
They were very tight-knit. It was a very tight-knit village, for all it was spread out. When I say tight-knit, personally, everybody knew everybody, everybody helped everybody. It was really a nice village to come to, actually.
When we shifted to Wembley, you know, when they used to go to bed at night, my dad would draw the curtains and he used to turn around to her and he'd say, hey, Bella, I can see the bonnet buggy cheeky lights. You see, he was born in Bridge Street.
Yes.
Well, my mother was born up here.
Yes.
And she always liked up here.
I remember Billy Joyce across the road had the farm next to the Half Moon. And this hen come in one day at the back. It was a hot day, so I had all the doors open in the shop. And this hen come in, you see, and it was in the back shop and it was clocking away. I says to my father, hey. He says, leave it, it's going to lay an egg. I says, oh, champion. So I said, come to dinner time, so we'll come home for our dinner, you see. Went back to the dinner, still sitting. It's going to lay an egg, you see. So, no, I mean, when it come to closing time, I picked it up and there wasn't an egg there. My father says, give that here, and he put it in the bag, we took it here and killed it and had it for our dinner.
But I can also remember going on the beach sea calling with me dad and me brother and with the horses and carts, because we had 2 horses. Bob would have one, well, he was Robert then, always Robert, and then me dad would have the other one, but I was there as a little lappy because I wasn't very tall at the time. But it went on and went on. For years it went on till we finally got 2 Fulton Major tractors, and when me dad was up here showing the horses at the pit or whatever, me and Bob would take the tractors onto the beach and do sea calling and whatnot, and it was a company called Thompson that used to come and take the coal away. It was really good times. You didn't need a television.
No.
I mean, we had radio and whatnot, but we didn't really listen to it. We were just out and about.
Yes. Used to put a shoreline out with 25 hooks in, getting back at 12 o'clock at night for to get it back in. Up to the waist and wetter, me and Bob Dixon. Come back and leave the fire going in the barber shop so we get dried out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Getting the fish off the hook, you know, and things like that. It's funny, like.
The happy villages. I reckon it's one of the happy villages in the northeast, Cambois.
I'll be honest and say I still think that Cambois Colliery would have lasted a lot longer if it hadn't been for a gentleman called Mr. Surrey, who was agent for the Bates's Coal Company. I saw equipment come to Cambois as new equipment, such as cutting machines, loader machines, conveyor belts. I've seen them come to Cambois and stored on bank in a compound and then sold to Bates's Colliery as second hand. Cambois had to pay full money for them. Bates's got them as second hand, which put Cambois in debt. And it was, I always said, and I still believe, that there was a purpose behind that, and the purpose was to close Cambois instead of Bates's.
And I remember the last day at Cambois when she closed on a Friday. I went to this flat in the bottom of Plessy, set the plough away, the coal was just pouring off. And then we just switched off and had our bait and come out. And that was the close of the pit. And that coal's still there to this day. It's only about 20 minutes from the shaft.
That's it.
It would be about the low water mark on the beach.
Yes.
That's where they first finished.
And it was a good coal.
So it had about 6 years to go, about 6 miles to go. And it's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But a good pit.
Well, they closed the pit, you see. If they hadn't closed the pit, but they started to pull the hoses down. If they'd left the hoses, I would still be there yet. But they started to pull the hoses down, so people went away to Grange Park and other places. The village just died, you know. The village died after that. So I thought, well, I was only 26, I'll get up and try something new. Never went back to it. Never went back.
The canny village of Cambois, the home of my both, the battered hoe and scattered hoe, and drove her into the oath. The canny folks that once lived there are scattered far and wide, but they will always love her and remember her with pride. My canny little village that lies beside the sea, you will always be the best place in this world for me.
Well, this was the 1984-1985 year-long miners' strike. When it started, obviously, we needed coal to keep warm and that, you know. And we came along here, there was 3 of us. And I think it was a joint decision to have a look around here, see if there was any coal under the surface. First year, we must have filled about, 60 bags, which was a lot of coal. And that coal was actually sold around the doors, and we were getting £3 a bag at the time. So it was a lot of money. We were making more then than what we were at the pit, which was unreal. So anyway, we started here, and we came here the next day. And as we came around down the road here, looked around, it was like Blackpool. Honest, everybody, people must have been passing and seeing what were all this coal, and word got around, and this place was full, and we couldn't even get in to fill any coal. We'd done that, and then we decided to go over to the colliery, and we went over the colliery there, and in the colliery yard, we started digging. So 6 foot down, you'd start to find the coal, and it must have had such a depth on it, but the water was coming in hard. So when you were in the hole, the water was coming up all the time. So we used to set little pumps away working off car batteries, and we used to pump the water out. Then as the hole mushroomed, basically it was just like the old bell pits in the old days. Compared to £5 off the union to keep yourself going, we kept ourselves going.
Well, there'll be a miss, but they were terrible when they were walking, mind. But as I say, we'll miss them, you know.
I kind of like them, me. The chimneys, not the station. I kind of like getting used with the chimneys, the site, wherever you come from, they're here.
You can see them, you know.
And, everybody likes to see the chimneys when they come to Cambois. Oh, Cambois, chimneys.
Commencing countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. Control to all flagmen, hold your positions, hold your positions. All 4 chimneys are down, hold your positions, over.
I've got my fingers crossed. You know, you have your doubts, but I don't know what's going to happen. Just hope that it is something for us, not for them. You know what I mean? Nothing dirty.